Hi everyone, today I'm gonna show you how I made this 3D room. For this tutorial, I'm gonna be using Blender. So let's get started. When you start Blender, you have these: cube, camera, and light. We will start with the cube. Okay, first I'd like to scale the cube to make it bigger. As for scale, then press 2 to make it twice bigger. Before we move on to the next step, let's adjust the camera. You can either press 0 or click this camera button to get camera view. Then go right here. Since I want to render this in a square frame, I will set the resolution to 1080. Also, I'll go to the camera icon here at the top right to see the camera setting. Change the type from perspective to orthographic. I'll adjust the camera a bit, just like this. Okay, now I'll hide the camera and the light. Okay, so we can start creating the room. Select the cube, go to edit mode by pressing tab. Choose face selection mode by pressing 3 or by clicking here. And select these 3 faces by holding shift. We do not want these 3 faces, so press X and delete faces. Select this bottom face, press P to separate selection. Just to make it clear, I'm gonna change the name to wall and floor to this one. So again, it is not necessary to change the name. If you don't want to change the name, it's okay to not change. Now select the wall, go to modifier property and add solidify modifier. Turn on even thickness. Change the thickness value to 0.3. Now let's copy modifier to the floor. Select the floor first, then select the wall. Press Ctrl L and choose copy modifier. For the floor, change the offset value to -1. Apply modifier on both objects. Then add bevel modifier. Change the amount to 1, segment to 2, limit method to weight, and change the shape value to -1. Press Ctrl 2 to add subdivision modifier. Go to edit mode by pressing tab. Press A to select everything and increase its mean bevel weight to 1. Then copy modifier to the floor. Also increase the mean bevel weight to 1. Select both object and right click to shade smooth. Now let's make the floor type. Select the floor and go to edit mode by pressing tab. Select this face, shift D to duplicate, then right click to release it. Press P to separate selection. Go back to object mode to choose the floor type we just created. Then press tab to go to edit mode. Let's add some loop cut. Ctrl R to add loop cuts. Scroll your mouse wheel to increase the number of cuts. For this one, let's add 7 loop cuts. Press Ctrl B to bubble it. I'll keep it at 0.1. Then press X and delete faces. Press A to select all, E to extrude up a bit, and select all by pressing A, then change its mean bubble weight to 1. Okay, now let's make the window. Select the wall, then press Ctrl R to add a loop cut. Let's adjust the loop cut. To adjust, press SY0. You can see the loop cut is straight now. With the loop cut being selected, press Ctrl B to bubble it. And press Ctrl R one more time to add another loop cut here. And let's move it a bit by pressing G. And then Ctrl B to bubble it. Press 3 for face selection and select this face and the one at the back. Now press Ctrl E and choose Bridge Edge Loops. A to select all and change its mean bubble weight to 1. Let's select the inner faces of the window. Press Alt and click here. Make sure that all of these 4 inner faces are selected. Shift D to duplicate and right click to release it. Then press P to separate selection. Select the object we just created and go to edit mode, press A to select all and press Alt E to extrude faces along normal. And don't forget to change its mean bubble weight to 1. But this doesn't really look good yet, so let's adjust a bit. Okay, now let's select the inner faces by pressing Alt, Shift D to duplicate, right click to release it. Then P to separate selection. Select the new object we just created, press A, then F to fill it. Let's add a loop cut here. Ctrl R. For this one, we need to turn on X-ray mode. You can press this icon here, or you can press Alt Z to turn on X-ray mode. Let's select one side of the window. We don't need this one, so press X and delete faces. Turn off X-ray mode by pressing Alt Z. Let's close this empty face. Press 2 for each selection and Alt and click this edge. Then F to fill it. Change its mean bubble weight to 1. Press 3 for face selection again. Select this face and the one at the back. Press I to insert face. Alt E and extrude faces along normal. Change the mean bubble weight to 1. We'll add another side of window door using mirror modifier. But before we add mirror modifier, we need to move the origin to the side of the window door. Select this side of the face. Press Shift S and choose cursor to select it. Then go to object mode. Right click and set origin to 3D cursor. Now let's add modifier. Choose mirror. For the axis, choose Y and remove X. Okay, now let's add the bed. Select the floor, Shift D to duplicate and right click to release it. Press G and Z to move it up. Right click and set origin to geometry. Let's adjust the bed size by pressing S. And let's duplicate the bed. Shift D to duplicate S and Z to scale in Z axis, and S and X to scale in X axis. Then GX to move it. Okay. Go to edit mode, press Ctrl R to add a loop cut. Select this one, this edge on the top, and press G to move it up. Let's add 2 more loop cut and see if it looks better. Okay, I think it looks nice. Let's adjust a bit more to make it look better. Okay, now let's make the mattress. Select the bed, Shift D to duplicate, then press G and Z to move it up, and scale a bit. To make the blanket, select these 4 faces by holding Shift. To duplicate, press Shift D, then right click to release it. P to separate selection, then select the blanket. Go to edit mode to make some adjustment. Turn on X-ray mode by pressing Alt Z. Press 2 to get edges selection mode. Select this part of the blanket, G and X to move in X axis. To add some thickness to the blanket, go to Modifier and add Solidify modifier. Change the offset value to 1, thickness to 0.03. Let's see. I'll apply bubble modifier. And then let's increase the thickness value to 0.07. I think it's better if solidify modifier is above subdivision modifier. And let's increase the thickness value again to 0.15. Then turn on even thickness. Adjust the proportion using G. And let's turn off solidify modifier for a while to make this step easier. Ctrl R to edit loop cut. Add another loop cut and place it just underneath the first one. Press Alt and click, and with that being selected, turn on solidify modifier again. Then Alt E and extrude face along normals. I'll increase subdivision levels to 3 and render to 3 as well to make the blanket smoother. Let me just make some adjustments before we move into the next object. Okay, let's add the pillow now. Shift A to add the object. Go to Mesh and add Cube. Scale it down to get the pillow size. Press slash to isolate the object from other. Ctrl R to add a loop cut here. Ctrl R again to add another loop cut here. In object mode, press Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. Turn on X-ray mode and also turn on proportional editing by clicking here or by pressing O. Select the middle loop cut, and as to scale down, you can scroll the mouse wheel to adjust the size of this proportional editing. Do the same to the other loop cut as well. Choose these two vertices in the middle. Press S and Z to scale it in Z axis. Select these vertices at the corner and S and Z to scale it down. Shade smooth, increase subdivision levels. Turn off X-ray mode and see if you like the shape of the pillow. And you can make some adjustment if you are not satisfied with the shape yet. Okay, now let's add the bookshelf here. Shift S to bring cursor back to origin. Shift A to add a new object. S to scale and G to move the object. Let's go to isolate view by pressing slash. Press tab to go to edit mode, Ctrl R to add two loop cuts here. Then Ctrl R again to add one loop cut here. Select these 6 spaces by holding Shift. Before that we need to apply scale. Go to object mode, Ctrl A and apply scale. Okay, let's go back to edit mode. Press I 2 times to insert face individually. So Alt C to turn on X-ray mode and press E to extrude. Let's just copy modifier from the floor to this bookshelf. Select the bookshelf first, then select the floor. Press Ctrl L, then choose Copy Modifier. Change the mean bubble weight of the bookshelf to 1. I'm gonna adjust this one a little bit. Okay, then now let's make dressing table. Select one face from the bookshelf. Shift D to duplicate, P to separate selection. Press G to move it to the side, and right click and set origin to geometry. S to scale it as Y to scale it in Y axis. Press A to select all and E to extrude. Select the face at the bottom, Shift D to duplicate, right click to release it, and E to extrude. Increase its mean bubble weight to 1. Okay, I'll move this face backward a bit, so go to edit mode, choose this one face, G and Y to move it back in Y axis. I move it back because I want to add the drawer there. Right click to shade smooth. In edit mode, select the same face, Shift D to duplicate and P to separate selection. Select the face we just created, Ctrl R to add a loop cut here, then Ctrl B to bubble it. Press X to delete faces. And now press A to select all and E to extrude. And don't forget to increase its mean bubble weight to 1. And adjust the size and the position. See. To add the mirror to this table, select this face at the top, Shift D to duplicate and right click to release it. With that being selected, press S, Y to scale down in Y axis. Press G and Y to move it. Then E to extrude up. Select this front face and press I to insert a face. With the X-ray mode on, extrude that face inward. Okay, you can turn off this X-ray mode and increase its mean bubble weight to 1. If you don't want the edges sharp like this, you can decrease the shape here in this modifier setting. Okay, then let's add the legs to our dressing table. Shift A to add a cylinder, S to scale it down, and copy modifier from the table to the legs. let's move it to the place where we want to keep. I'm gonna use more mirror modifier to add other 3 legs. So add modifier here, choose mirror. Select the eyedropper tool and choose dressing table. Turn on both X and Y and adjust the legs position. Well, now let's add another object, luggage, here beside the bed. Shift and right click to move the cursor to here. Shift A and add a cube this time. S to scale and G to move it. Let's press slash to isolate the object. Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. And in edit mode, press Ctrl R and scroll the mouse wheel to get 4 loop cuts. Then Ctrl R again to add another loop cut here. Okay, Ctrl B to bubble it. Press Alt C to turn on X-ray mode. Select these 4 edges. It should be 8 in total because we're selecting the one from the back as well. Okay, we'll bubble them by pressing Ctrl B. Then Alt E to extrude faces along normal. You can turn on X-ray mode now and just make it thinner a bit, and then right click to shade smooth. And I'm gonna edit here a little bit. Edit loop cut here. Select these faces by holding Alt, Shift D to duplicate and P to separate selection. S and X to scale down, then add solidify modifier. Change offset value to 1 and increase the thickness as well. And then move this solidify modifier to the top by simply dragging this on top of subdivision modifier. And then turn on even thickness. Okay, now let's add luggage handle. Shift A to add another object. Go to mesh and add a cube. S to scale down. And S again as Y to make it longer in Y axis. Ctrl R to add a loop cut in the middle. And Ctrl B to bubble it. Select these 2 faces at the bottom and press E to extrude. I to insert faces. Go to object mode and press Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. And let's go back to edit mode again, and we'll fix this by adding loop cuts. Right click to shade smooth. Now let's add a cylinder. Press Shift A, go to mesh and add a cylinder. S to scale. I to insert, and Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. Let's add some loop cuts here. And I'm gonna use mirror modifier to add another one. Go to modifier panel, add modifier and choose mirror. Choose mirror object to either this handle or the luggage. Then choose y-axis and remove x-axis. I'll select this and go to isolate view by pressing slash. To make the wheel, shift A, go to mesh and add a cylinder. S to scale down, then press RY90. It's still too big, so let's scale it down. Select the two faces and press I to insert. Turn on X-ray view, then Alt-E to extrude faces along normal. Then press I again to insert. In object mode, press Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. Let's add a loop cut here and Ctrl B to bubble it. I'll use mirror modifier to add 3 other wheels. Go to here, add modifier. Choose mirror and select mirror object to the luggage. Turn on both X and Y axis. I will select these all parts of the luggage and I will make sure to select the biggest part the last, so it'll be easier. Now press Ctrl P to parent object. Choose object, keep transform. Now if I want to move, I can just need to select this one and I can move it easily now. Okay, now let's make some books for our bookshelf. Shift A to add a cube. S to scale it down. Let's go to isolate view to make our process easier. Adjust the size to the size you like. Okay, I think it's fine now. Go to edit mode, select these 3 faces to make the cover of our book. Shift D to duplicate, right click to release it. S and Z to scale it in Z axis. Press 2 to get edge selection mode and select this edge and this one as well. Press G and Y to move in Y axis. Choose these 3 faces and press Alt E to extrude faces along normal. Turn on offset even. Ctrl 2 to add subdivision modifier, and then add bevel modifier. Drag the bevel modifier above the subdivision modifier, and here change the amount to 1. Segmented to, limit method to weight, shape value to 1. Then go to edit mode and change its mean bevel weight. Right click to shade smooth. Let's duplicate this book to get more books on our bookshelf. To duplicate, select the book, Shift D and move it to where you want to keep. Duplicate another book. For this one, I'm gonna rotate. So R to rotate and RY to rotate in Y-axis. Duplicate the book until you have enough books on the bookshelf, and use R to rotate when necessary. Okay, now let's add something on our dressing table. Shift right click to bring cursor to here. Shift A to add a cylinder. S to scale it down. Press slash to go to isolate view, and then tap to go to edit mode. Select the top face, I to insert, and G and Z to move it up. Then E to extrude and I to insert face. Here at the bottom, select this bottom face, I to insert, and again I to insert faces. And tap to go back to the object mode to add subdivision, Ctrl 2. We need to adjust the shape a bit, so add a loop cut here, Ctrl R and move it up. Let's add another one here, and one here as well. Now let's select this top face. I'll make it a bit smaller. So S to scale it, E to extrude down. Let's turn on extreme mode so we can see through. G and Z to move it up a bit. Then E to extrude and S to make it wider. Then E to extrude down again and I to insert face. Turn up extreme mode and make some adjustment if necessary. Select these faces by holding Alt, Shift D to duplicate, and P to separate selection. Right-click to set origin to geometry. S and Z to scale it in Z-axis. Select these edges and F to fill it and I to insert face. Go to Modify Property and add Solidify Modifier. Turn on Even Thickness, change Offset value to 1 and increase the thickness value to 0.03. Make sure the Solidify modifier is above a subdivision modifier. In Edit mode, Ctrl R to add a loop cut, Ctrl B to bevel it. Then shade smooth both objects. Parent these two objects. Select both objects and Shift D to duplicate. S to scale it so we'll get the different bottle size. Now let's add a different style. and Shift A to add a new object. This time we'll add a circle. S to make it smaller, and in edit mode, F to fill it. E to extrude up, and E to extrude up again, and S to scale it down. E to extrude, I to insert. I want this to be a bit smaller. E to extrude. This time, E to extrude and right click to release it. S to scale it. E to extrude up. Select these 4 faces by holding Shift. I to insert. And E to extrude. I to insert again, and E to extrude. Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. Select this top face. I to insert the face, insert to this bottom face as well. Add a loop cut here. Ctrl R. Here as well, and here too. Let's add one here and bubble it. Then I'll duplicate this one and make it a different style. Let's make one more. Shift A and add a new object. We'll add a cube. S to scale it down, G and Z to move it, and S and Z to scale it in Z-axis. In edit mode, select this top face. E to extrude up, S, Shift X to lock X-axis. So we're scaling down to only Y and Z axis. Then E to extrude. Apply Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. And let's fix this to make it look good. And let's add a laptop here. Shift right click to bring cursor to here. Shift A and add a cube. S to scale it down. Control 2 to add subdivision. In edit mode, add a loop cut here and add another loop cut here. Both loop cuts. I'll not add any detail like keyboards or mouse pad. I'll just make it look like a closed laptop. So I'm gonna just duplicate this and adjust a little, just like this. Then let's add a light or lamp on the wall. Shift A to add a cylinder, S to scale it down, G, X to move it in X as it. Select the top and bottom face and press I to insert faces. Add a loop cut here, Ctrl R, then Ctrl B to bevel it. Go to object mode and Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. Right click to shade smooth. Select this object, Shift D to duplicate, G and Z to move it up. And we need to scale it down. G and Z to move it up. Okay, I'm gonna add another one like this at the bottom as well. Go to modifier panel, add modifier and add mirror modifier. Select the mirror object, this one, and this should be Z. Here, let's add a calendar. Shift right click to bring cursor here and Shift A to add a cube. Scale it down. I'll copy modifier from the wall and remember to change its main bubble weight to 1. Add a loop cut here and bevel it, and loop cut here as well. Bevel. Okay, Shift D to duplicate and Z to move it up, and S and Z to make it shorter. This should be a little longer. I'm gonna use mirror modifier to add another one like this at the bottom. Shift right click to bring cursor to here. Shift A and this time we'll add a single vert. Make sure vertex selection mode is selected. E to extrude and again E to extrude. In object mode, right click and convert to curve. Go to panel here. In geometry setting, increase the depth value. In Ctrl 2, right click and shade smooth. You can increase subdivision levels to make it smoother. Oh, it's not straight. Let's move it a bit and rotate it. R. Shift A to add a cylinder. RY90 to rotate it. Make it really small. Press 3 to get face selection mode. Select this face, E, and then right click to release it. S to scale it. Then E to extrude again, and I to insert face. Here as well, I to insert. Ctrl R to edit loop cut here, Ctrl B to bubble it. Go to object mode and Ctrl 2 to add subdivision. We need to add a loop cut here and bubble it. Right click to shade smooth. Let's add a plant here on the shelf. Shift A to add a circle, S to scale it down, go to edit mode, F to fill it, and E to extrude up. Select the bottom face and make it smaller. Select the top face, I to insert, and E to extrude. Turn on extrude mode so you can see through. S to scale it, I to insert here, and a loop cut here. Ctrl R, then Ctrl B to bubble it. Now Ctrl 2 to add subdivision, and a loop cut here. Bubble it. Right click to shade smooth. For this one, I'll duplicate. Shift D to duplicate, right click to release it, and now F to fill it. Select the top faces and I to insert. Select all of these. G and Z to move it up, and S to scale it. Shift right click to bring cursor here. Shift A and add a single vart. Press 1 to get vertex selection mode, E to extrude, and again E to extrude. Right click and convert to curve. Go to the panel and increase the depth value. Now let's create the leaf for the plant. Add a plane. S to scale it down, S and Y to scale it in Y axis. Ctrl R to add a loop cut here, and add one more here as well. Press 1 to get vertex selection mode. Select these and scale it down. Scale down this one too. Add one more loop cut here in the middle. Ctrl B to bubble it. Select these 3 vertices. G and Z to move it down. Select these. Turn on proportional editing by pressing O, and G to move it down. Okay, then go to object mode and add Ctrl 2. Go to modifier panel to add solidifying modifier to add some thickness. Make sure solidify modifier is above subdivision modifier. Turn on even thickness, change the offset value to 1, and increase thickness, and right click to shade smooth. We can move the leaf to the side. Okay, now select this one and right click and convert to Go to the panel here and add particle system. Choose hair here, turn on advanced. Change this render to object, then choose the leaf. The leaves are already here, but it doesn't look good yet, so we'll need to play with the setting here. Just try and see which way you like best. I'm gonna copy these books and put them on the shelf. Okay, now it's okay, now it's time to add some color. In this render setting, we are now choosing this one. When I save it, I'll change it to circle, but now I'll still keep it as this because I'm using my old laptop and it'll become super slow if I change it to cycle now. Okay, let's continue. Click here to see with the color version. To add color, go to material panel, select the object and change color here. I'll apply the same color to the floor as well, so you can simply select the floor first and then select the wall by holding Shift Ctrl L and choose link material. Here are all the color I use with this room. Because this step is simple, I'm not gonna show you in detail, I'll just make it faster. When it comes to the book and some other object, you need to add 2 or more different colors. So I'm gonna show you how I do it. Overall, the book color is yellow here, but for the inner part, like the paper, I'll make it white. So select the part you want to change the color, and in the material panel, click this plus button, click add new, and click assign. Now we have just added this white color, and you can do the same to the other books and other objects like mirror and the luggage wheels. Okay, when we're done, go to render panel, changes to cycles. To save the image, go to render and choose render image. When the rendering is completed, you can save the image. I hope you like this tutorial, and let me know if you have any question about this tutorial in the comment section. Hope to see you again in the next video.